What's going on, everyone? Recently, Microsoft announced another wave of layoffs in their Xbox games division, with more to come in the coming weeks. If, like me, you're on Twitter a lot, you'll notice that most people are blaming Game Pass for what they consider to be the downfall of Xbox and Microsoft in the gaming space in general. People in the industry, and especially on social media, have always had this huge problem with Game Pass. And I kind of want to stick up for it and defend it. And I also wanted to go through the reasons why people seem to hate it so much. And I don't know if any of those reasons are valid. Some of them may be, but most of them really aren't. First off, Grums, who completely, absolutely despises Game Pass. I'm not sure if the game he's working on, he pitched it to Microsoft and they said, we don't want your trash game on Game Pass. You're never going to finish it anyway. This is from May of last year, where he says, vindicated once again, when Microsoft acquired Blizzard, I explained how Game Pass is not sustainable and bad for developers. I was endlessly attacked for this and told it was great. I was right then, and now here we are with Microsoft not able to sustain the studios they acquired and closing many good companies. This is off the back of the Bethesda closures. Now, I'm bringing this article up from last year because it ties into something else he said, but let's just read the first couple sentences of this paragraph that he posted to validate his opinion from Brad Hildebrand, public relations and communication leader of who knows what. Pronouns in bio, by the way. Surprised this guy's even tweeted him out. He goes, the biggest paradox with Game Pass is that basically every game that launches on the service badly misses its sales goals. Makes sense though, why pay full price to buy a game when you can play it for free as part of your subscription? Now here's my problem with that. AAA gaming has been on the decline for basically this entire console generation. I would argue that these games would have sold poorly no matter what. The AAA space has been in trouble for the past 5 to 6 years. Overinflated budgets, too many people with no experience, failing upwards, DEI, censoring your games, too many open world games, too many live service games, the price increases, the massive updates, the poor optimization, spitting in the face of your core player base and telling them to not play their games if you don't like them. Where in your mind were these games going to do well? People were starting to turn their back on the AAA industry way before Game Pass started releasing games day one on the subscription service. Not to mention the massive amount of layoffs that have all went on around that time from multiple companies not involved with Game Pass because everybody overhired during COVID and because everybody overinvested during COVID. And there was a huge spike in sales. There was a huge spike in usage because everybody was home, and then it dropped off a cliff. And the investors left, and everybody got fired. I really think that has nothing to do with Game Pass as a service. So now Grums is taking his victory lap here. He goes, I completely called it and told you that Microsoft and Xbox were going to be in trouble. I said last year that the execs would be called on the carpet for spending more than $68 billion to acquire studios to try to grow Game Pass, which didn't grow enough. And he said, Grums, this isn't the way business works. I kind of agree with him here. They did overpay for Blizzard Activision. And firing people to appease investors is never a good look, but everybody does it. It's the system we're in. It's the system that's been created, and it's just what everybody does. I'm not a corpo shill saying that's good. A lot of good people are going to lose their jobs. Can a lot of these layoffs be contributed to winding down the current Xbox generation, not needing distribution, not needing R&D, not needing all these things to keep your console afloat? When they've already moved far past the current generation of consoles. They have their eyes so set on what's next. I mean, it's so obvious. Then you have this guy, he says, stuff like Game Pass is dumb because it rewards mediocre output and punishes good products. Made a great game, everyone can play it for free, so minimal sales. Made a shit game, everyone can play it for free, so minimal sales. Communism for games. Yeah, that is so wrong. Because right here, it says Game Pass royalty deals for developers typically involve a combination of upfront fees and usage-based payments. Okay, that is key right there. In addition to the upfront fee, developers may also receive payments based on how much their game is played by Game Pass subscribers. This can be calculated based on factors like the number of active users, hours played, or other engagement metrics. This model allows developers to potentially earn more revenue if their game is a hit on the service. Yeah, if you make a crap game and you only got the upfront payment and you had a royalty deal and you're not getting any royalties because your game isn't being played, well then maybe you should make a better game and you'll be incentivized to do so. You always hear about this one. It's cannibalizing the games and it's cannibalizing sales. This guy right here. A game can sell 16 million copies day one and have 20 million active players. That's 4 million in cannibalized sales. It's not a slur or something to get triggered at. It's just a effing fact. This type of thinking only happens if you believe that developers get paid $0 to put their games on the platform. A leak from a few years ago. Let's see what people are getting paid. Mortal Kombat 1, estimate $250 million. $250 million for Mortal Kombat 1. Grand Theft Auto 5, $12 to $15 million a month estimate. I think it fell somewhere around $5 to $10 million a month. Do the math. Divide it by 60. Divide it by 50. However much these games cost when these deals were being talked about. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga, $35 million. Come on. These people are getting paid to put their games on the platform, and they're having royalty deals on top of it. As a matter of fact, I think they're getting paid too much to have these games on, some of these games on Game Pass. I think they're going way far and above. And let's not forget that almost all the developers that release successful games on Game Pass will say how grateful they are to be on the platform, whether it's Palworld developers, whether it's the developers of Expedition 33. We have the developer of Wuchang, Fallen Feathers, a game that's going to do great, already coming out and singing the praises of Xbox and how thankful they are to have their game on Game Pass day one. The game's not even out yet. The game's guaranteed to be a success. People are going to play the shit out of it. We already know. So what are you guys talking about? Cannibalizing sales? If anything, it's giving them guaranteed sales. It's giving them free publicity. It's giving them word of mouth. It's giving them front page access. A lot of people also like to say it's responsible for the death of this current generation of the Xbox console. And I'm going to agree with you. But I just want to take you back for a second to when Microsoft and Xbox was the most successful with the Xbox 360. And this is going to get a little bit away from Game Pass for a second, but I feel it's important to point out. At the height of the 360's success, they still were not even coming close to competing in Asia. Now, I know as Westerners, as Americans, we are very self-important, that we matter in this ecosystem. Even after all the exclusive deals, courting Asian developers, courting Japanese developers, doing whatever they could to get exclusives on their platform, they still were not even to get their first foot in the door. You don't think that they see that? They just can't make a console for the West and invest that amount of money into it. So when you watch that E3, the disaster that it was, they were already pivoting. It wasn't a mistake for them to start talking about multimedia consoles. If you also notice around that time, they were really playing nice. They wanted no part in the console war. Even after the success of the 360, they knew they had already lost the console war. And that's why they were congratulating Sony. They're congratulating Nintendo. And they're getting nothing in return. Sony went for the jugular. So they already knew where this was headed this long ago. This is a couple years ago where Phil Spencer says there's no scenario where Xbox can ever catch up and overtake PlayStation or Nintendo, so they had to go off and do their own thing, which is Game Pass and cloud services. And that is the future. That is the future of gaming. I know you guys hate cloud gaming. I know you guys hate subscription-based services, but it is the future. And that brings me to probably the main reason why people hate Game Pass and subscription-based services for gaming in general is the whole, you'll own nothing and like it, and how much everybody hated that line and hates where the future is headed. But guess what? You fucking hypocrites. Why then when Nintendo told you don't even own your game systems, you don't even own your Switch 2, Here's game codes in an $80 game. Here's a digital download for an $80 game. If you even dare to look at your Switch 2 wrong, we'll brick it. You don't own your Switch 2. You don't own your games. And you gobbled them up. You said, okay, Nintendo, okay. Yes, please. I'll owe nothing and love it as long as it has a cute little Italian plumber on the cover and I can pose with my Switch 2 and the controllers are red and purple and blue and I can get different colors. You're fucking hypocrites. You're hypocrites. Put your fucking money where your mouth is for once in your life. Why are the most popular games all games that you don't own? Gacha games, Fortnite, fucking Warzone. You don't own anything in these fucking games. You own none of that shit, and yet you fucking gobble it up like hotcakes. I'm so sick of it. Yeah, you'll own nothing and like it. Do you know why they feel emboldened to do that? Because you keep fucking giving them money to do that very thing. Just because it's Nintendo doesn't mean it's right. But now Nintendo's able to release $80 fucking digital downloads because you all fucking bought that shit system and shit game. Fucking enjoy your future. I would rather enjoy a future where I get to pay $20, I would even pay $30 for Game Pass and have a huge library of games. I like the future that Microsoft is building versus the future that Nintendo is fucking building. Enough. You guys are hypocrites. It's honestly a form of gatekeeping at this point. But I understand that not owning games and having digital only downloads and for them to be able to retcon shit in games and to take out music is bad. I understand it, but the masses have already spoken and 99% of people don't fucking give a shit. Because you know what? Not only if Nintendo can do it and get away with it, but if Hideo Kojima came out and said, look, Death Stranding is a digital download only. Okay, you're going to pay me $100 and in 6 months, I'm going to take it away from you and I'm going to replace it with a pair of my underwear. And the only way you get Death Stranding 2 back is if you fucking inhale my scent. You fuckers would be all over it. I can't wait for Game Pass to be fucking everywhere in your face, to be on your fucking TV. I want to be able to play Game Pass on my fucking Samsung fridge. I do not want to pay for $100 games. I'm so sick of this hypocritical industry. I'm sick of the console wars. I just, get out of the way for 2 fucking seconds. Nobody ever admits to who they really are when it comes to gaming. Everyone likes to pretend that they've never bought a microtransaction in their life. Everybody likes to pretend that Game Pass is bad for the industry. Everybody likes to pretend all these free-to-play games are crap. Enough. Please comment, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Later.